millions of people
millones de personas,
to spend some quality time with him.
dedicar tiempo de calidad con él.
I was at the electoral station of his last election.
One second, please.
I had the pleasure and the honor to have been at the electoral station with him at his last election, and to have had a number of opportunities to sit and have discussions about his extraordinary vision and facilitation of participatory democracy. In 2003, the board of the Trans-Africa Forum was welcomed by President Chavez, in which he stepped forward on the world stage to identify his Afro-descendant heritage and the complex identities that we all share. That was extraordinarily important because the factors of impoverishment, lack of education, disease, and all of the miseries that millions of people across the world suffer are significantly concentrated in the Afro-descendant populations of Latin America, including in Venezuela. So this was a fundamental democratic question, not just one of race. This evening, we have an expert panel who will provide brief 10-minute commentary on the living legacy of Hugo Chavez Frias. Our format is that they will speak for 10 minutes apiece. And after their presentations, we will take 3 to 4 comments or questions from the audience as blocks. The panel will decide which of those comments or questions they will respond to, briefly responding. And this is in the spirit of Hugo Chavez Frias of a participatory democracy, not a representative democracy where you simply listen to talking heads. Before introducing our panelists, I want to acknowledge one of the most important legacies of Hugo Chavez, which was reflected in the primary declaration of the recent meeting of the Community of Latin American and Caribbean Nations in Havana, Cuba. The 33 countries participating in that gathering represented capitalist countries, social democratic oriented countries, Marxist perspectives, but they had a common interest and a common unity in finding mutual benefit among themselves. And in that context, their primary declaration was to call for Latin America and the Caribbean to be a zone of peace. A zone in which there would be non-interference into the sovereignty and the self-determination of nations. A zone in which the principle of pluralism would be upheld, and each population would decide with its representatives what economic and political projects it desired to pursue. I emphasize that point as I move to our panelists, because this is a moment of much controversy, of conflict, And I ask all of you to observe
que observen
civility and respect.
el espíritu de civismo y de respeto.
All opinions and comments are
Todas las
welcome.
opiniones son vistas con buenos ojos.
I ask we all to model the world that we claim we wish to live in.
Me parece que debemos ser como un modelo del mundo que queremos reivindicar.
Our panelists this evening, I will give brief introductions to them because you have extensive write-ups about each of them.
Que tienen todo esto escrito en el programa.
Our first panelist will be Daniel Ovalle, a graduate of Columbia Law School,
Titulado de Columbia,
a labor and human rights lawyer.
un abogado de derechos humanos y de asuntos laborales.
The Christian Science Monaster recently referred to his work of defending Colombian trade unionists as one of the most prominent defenders of Colombian workers in the United States. He will be followed by
de los Estados Unidos. Y después hablará
Mark Weisbrot,
Mark Weisbrot,
co-director of the Center for Economic and Policy Research here in Washington, D.C.
de políticas de Washington, D.C.
He writes a weekly column for The Guardian, Unlimited, which I urge you all to read. And he will be followed by Ambassador Escalona. Ambassador Escalona's presentation is in the program, and so you may read along with him.
En inglés.
Good evening.
Muy buenas noches.
So first of all, I just want to say how much it's an honor for me to be here tonight to talk about the legacy of Hugo Chavez. I want to thank the Venezuelan Embassy for the invitation. I like to refer to the United States as a land of forgetfulness. And I don't know if I made that up. Probably Eduardo Galeano did, but so I'll
Quizás otros lo han dicho, no sé si yo he acuñado esta frase.
And what do I mean
Tierra del olvido.
by that?
¿Qué quiero decir con esto de la tierra del olvido de Estados Unidos?
I think that we have such a poor grasp of history
Tienen un concepto tan
that we allow ourselves to repeat the same errors over and over.
los mismos errores una y otra vez.
And so I want to talk a little bit about the history of Latin America, at least as I know it, and how Hugo Chavez fits into that.
Y cómo paraliza Hugo Chávez.
So, if you recall, upon his first meeting with Barack Obama, Chavez handed him this book, The Open Veins of Latin America, by Eduardo Galeano. And the interesting thing about the book, which as you see, it's very well read, I've read it many times, I read it recently, is that it was published in 1973, and it ends on a hopeful note, with a doctor being elected in Chile named South Korea. And as we know, very shortly after this book was published, Allende was overthrown and he was murdered in the presidential palace. Which brings us to more current time. I recall very vividly April of 2002, when a very similar event played out in Venezuela, when there was a coup against the democratically elected President Hugo Chavez, in which he was kidnapped, brought to an island, in which it looked like the revolution there was over, much like happened in Chile. But I also remember waking up on that Sunday, that had been the 13th of April? And listening to the news and hearing that Hugo Chavez had returned that night to the presidential palace. And I remember dancing around the room with my little children and saying this would be like Salvador Allende coming back from the dead. This had never happened before. That a leader in Latin America had been overthrown with a return. And I think that he will be remembered for that moment in which he was returned not by a miracle, not from the heavens, at least not that I know of, I won't discount that, but a miracle from the streets. Because who returned to power? The poor people who came from the barrios to the streets asked that he be returned.
exigieron que volviese.
And why would they do that?
¿Por qué lo hicieron?
Because during his presidency,
Durante su presidencia,
poverty was slashed by nearly 50%.
50%.
Inequality was slashed by over 50%.
Más del 50%.
Public spending was increased by 60%.
60%.
The oil proceeds of Venezuela, Venezuela's oil for the first time was being used for the Venezuelans.
Se utilizaron para el beneficio
And it was being used for the poor,
y para el pueblo.
for hot meals for children in schools, for health care. And the beneficiaries of those policies came to rescue Chavez. What else did he do? I think what is also forgotten, and I think which the U.S. press purposefully obscures, is that on a profound level, Chavez was a Democrat, a small D Democrat. He believed in democracy. He stood for election more than any leader in Latin America. He created what Jimmy Carter called the best electoral system in the world. An electronic system backed up by paper ballots that was used and is used in every region of the country. Unlike, for example, the U.S., where every state decides what form of balloting they will use, and we end up things like bizarre things like hanging chads in Florida. Well, Venezuela and Chavez eliminated that with this new uniform electoral system. The other thing that Chavez did, which has been alluded to, he was very much a man of peace in the region. There are negotiations now in Havana, Cuba, between the guerrillas of Colombia and the Colombian government, largely because of the efforts of Hugo Chavez, who helped broker those peace negotiations. The other thing, I'm a labor lawyer, it's my day job, and under Chavez, and I don't want to say Chavez did it because the people did it, but under Chavez, the Venezuelans passed some of the most progressive labor laws in the world. Just to name a few aspects of it, it forbids any employer, even non-union employees, from being fired without just cause. As a union guy, I would like to see that in this country. It requires businesses to share at least 15% of their profits with the workers. It requires employers to pay workers severance if they lose their job for any reason. Gives workers the right to continue running factories, which employers may decide to stop opening. Again, working for a steel industry like I do, that would have been a nice thing to have over the years. And it grants very liberal parental leave to mothers and fathers, and gives mothers who return to work 1.5 hours per day to breastfeed. In fact, I was talking to someone in this room that utilizes that law and said it was thanks to the revolution. And in the end, last year, Venezuela was ranked, in fact, the happiest country in Latin America. And I believe 9th in the world. And that is the legacy of Hugo Chavez, and I can say much more, but I'm sure the other folks will. But I think when you look at what's happening now, and we also think, I'll begin where I ended my talk with Chile in 1973, when we look at what's happening now, we need to put all those things in perspective. And I believe we need to defend the gains of Hugo Chavez. Thank you.
Are the English-speaking people listening well? Can you hear well?
Yes.
Los de habla hispana también escuchan bien. Ok. Como dicen aquí, just check it out.
Okay, so is that working? So thanks to everybody for coming. Thank you all for
Por venir.
organizing this panel, and Oscar
Por haberme invitado. Gracias a Oscar.
for the translation. I will try to speak slowly so
Voy a
that
tratar de hablar lento.
it can be done almost simultaneously.
Y que como que casi simultáneamente.
So I remember the same moment that Dan mentioned when Chavez came back, and I was really happy.
Sumamente gozoso.
I couldn't sleep for a couple of days
No pude dormir.
because it was kind of like a miracle. And
Que fue un milagro.
I remember I first met Chavez in 2003, about a year later, and I told him the story.
Y le conté.
And, you know, at that time, I don't think he had met too many people from this country who were really anti-imperialist. And so he asked me, how did you get to have these views? And I told him, there are a lot of people here like that.
Y le dije, hay mucha
And then
gente aquí en
for me, it was the coup in Chile that
Fue el golpe de Chile.
really opened my eyes, although I also, of course, saw the Vietnam War.
Y luego la guerra de
And anyway, he gave me a big hug and he said, my brother. And I remember
Me acuerdo muy bien.
one other story I want to tell was he had a dinner once with about 100 people from movements all over
Se
the,
reunió en una cena con
The Americans.
cientos de personas de los movimientos de las Américas.
and he sat there, you know, for about an hour
Durante una hora.
and didn't say anything, and went around the table, and everybody told their stories of what they were working on, different social movements, MST from Brazil, for example, people working for debt cancellation.
Que
And he just took notes.
Y él tomó notas. Tomaba notas.
And then, at the end,
Al final,
he said, okay, he went through his notes, he said, here's where I think we can help.
lo que pienso que podemos hacer
And I
para
thought,
ayudar.
you know, what head of state in the world would do something like
El
that?
Estado del mundo
It's very
ha
rare.
estado así. O sea, es raro.
And then he gave this speech
Luego, de un discurso
about how
acerca
when he was
de
in jail,
cuando estaba en la cárcel,
he realized that he really wasn't that important,
de que
that it was really the people who
lo más
made history.
era el pueblo que forja la historia.
And I thought about that, and I thought, well, you know, that is obviously an important truth. But on the other hand, if it wasn't for him and the Kirchners in Argentina, and Lula
Evo Morales,
and Correa,
Correa,
you wouldn't really be looking at the
entonces
continent that you see today.
el continente de hoy no es
I
el mismo.
really believe that. There's been enormous changes in the past 15 years, and he was the first
Y
one.
fue el primero.
And before that,
Chávez.
it wasn't really known
No era conocido.
if it were possible to do anything like this, because the experience of the past had been that people like this who were elected didn't last if the United States didn't want them there. And so it has been an enormous change, and it's almost completely unrecognized here. You know, I think I saw the first article ever in the Washington Post just a couple months ago that said that actually described this change that had taken place. That there were left governments all over the place, and that this was really a whole new hemispheric relation and an enormous geopolitical change. This was a news article, and it was the first time I saw that discussion. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't read the Post that much, but I read the article. And I've never seen an article like that in 15 years. It's a profound state of denial. So, it's not surprising that the guy who started it off doesn't get a lot of credit for it. In fact, he gets, they demonized him, of course. And that legacy of demonization lasts to this day, as you see the news coverage.
Tal como se ve en la cobertura de los medios de difusión hoy,
You know, in 2012,
en el
you
año
know,
2012,
I pick up the paper and I look at the internet every day.
yo miro el internet cada día. ¿no?
And
Y
they're telling me all these protesters are on the street because the economy is horrible and the inflation is 56%.
presentadas como horribles,
And,
inflación 86%,
so on.
etc.
And I'm thinking, okay, well, that is true right now,
Sí, es verdad. Sí, ahora
but it's only been a year and a half
es solo
of this high inflation and the increase in
inflación
absurdity.
tan elevada.
And what happened before that?
¿Qué pasó?
You know, in 2012, poverty dropped by 20%.
Por 20%.
You can find it on the World Bank website. That's household survey data, and it's not in dispute. Opposition economists use the same data, okay?
Esas estadísticas
That was never reported in the English language
aparecen
media.
en los medios de difusión de habla inglesa.
And of course, the Latin American media is even worse.
Y la prensa de América Latina es inclusive peor.
You know, I saw a protester outside that had their
Afuera,
mouth taken shut.
manifestantes
And I
que se había
said,
puesto una cinta en la boca.
who are they kidding? Maria Corina Machado was on Global Visión just a few days ago, defending the right of the people to overthrow the democratically elected government. I can tell you that wouldn't happen here if you had a real possibility of it happening. It wouldn't even happen here if you didn't have a possibility of it happening. They just would. They could say it, but they'd never get on national TV to say it.
Hay gente que sí que se manifiesta en contra, pero tampoco aparece en la televisión.
And that's the Global Visión that the New York Times says no longer criticizes the government. They said it was the only critical voice. They have an interesting standard for critical voice. They mean Fox News times 10. And if you're not that, you're just an apologist for the regime.
En realidad, lo que es ese canal es solamente un canal que hace apología del régimen, dice.
So I just want to go through, for 1 minute,
Por un minuto, si me permiten, quisiera.
what's missing from the news on the economic front, because that's what I look at most. So you have a period
O sea, hay un periodo
of 12 years in which you can look at the accomplishments because
los triunfos
of this government
de ese gobierno
and the obviously the Chavez government and the Maduro government.
y es del gobierno de Maduro.
And obviously the last year and a half has been bad. If you look at 12 years, and actually I would go 10 years back because that would be fair to the opposition.
Para ser justo con la oposición,
Because
porque
you want to go back to where the economy actually caught up with the
antes de remontarse cuando le
level it was before they destroyed it during the oil spill.
antes del momento en que la destrozaron los niveles de petróleo.
Because if you take it from the bottom, it's not really fair.
Si
From
uno
the bottom
empieza
of the recession.
lo más
So if you take from 2004,
o sea, si se pone desde 2004,
income per person
el
per
ingreso
person,
por
not
por
GDP,
persona, no el
overall
producto
per
bruto
person,
general, sino
grew by 2.7% annually,
creció 2,7% cada año.
which is better than they've had at any time in the last 30, 40 years. In fact, the 20 years before Chavez had negative growth.
En 20 años de Chávez el crecimiento fue
You have to go to Africa to find something that
Habría que
is
irse a
badly
África para descubrir algunas-
during that period, and worse than almost all of Latin America.
y muchos en América Latina.
And during that time,
Y la África siempre es peor. que-
poverty was reduced, as
La pobreza se
Dan mentioned, by more than half.
por más de la mitad, como digo, la
Extreme poverty by more than 70%.
por más del 70%.
Millions of people got access to pensions,
Empezaron a tener acceso
access to education, college enrollment, for example, tripled, access to all levels of education increased.
La educación se multiplicó.
And they want to say that, oh, this is all over, and people are going to throw all this away
Hay gente que quiere desechar
because of the last year.
por el año pasado, porque pasó el año
And
pasado.
I don't really believe that's ever going to happen.
Y yo no creo que eso vaya a suceder.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Muy buenas noches,
Good evening.
estoy muy honrado,
I feel very
muy
honored
feliz
and very happy
de estar aquí con
to
ustedes.
be here with you.
I will read for you in Spanish,
Voy a leer el documento en español.
but I hope that you have in your hand the translation to English.
Los de habla inglesa deben tener la traducción en el programa.
It's okay? Chávez vive, su obra y su lucha siguen. El legado de Hugo Chávez es ilimitado. Fue y es el principal geopolítico del siglo XXI. Le cambió la faz al mundo por cuanto contribuyó a conformar y darle solidez a los principios de la cooperación sur-sur y de las relaciones norte-sur. Sobre todo, él fue como un faro de luz para la rebelión de los pueblos en todos los continentes. Cuando parecía que las potencias imperiales, utilizando el neoliberalismo, la guerra y el terrorismo, habían doblegado la rebelión y las aspiraciones de paz, justicia y poder para el pueblo, la gesta de Hugo Chávez revolucionó tanto la práctica como la agenda del mundo del siglo XXI. Hugo Chávez y la República Bolivariana de Venezuela se convirtieron en referencia y epicentro de las luchas por la soberanía y la independencia. La renta petrolera, monopolizada por las transnacionales del petróleo para sojuzgar al pueblo de Venezuela, hacer más poderosos a los poderosos y alimentar las guerras imperiales, se convirtió en instrumento de combate a la pobreza, de una nueva geopolítica en función de la integración de los pueblos y de la creación de nuevas instituciones financieras como el Banco del Alba, el Banco del Sur, para abrir perspectivas a la autonomía financiera, fiscal y monetaria para los oprimidos por las condicionalidades del Fondo Monetario Internacional en nombre del capital. Es decir, como camino para consolidar la independencia. Derrotó el ANCA y desde ahí surgió el ALBA, UNASUR, la CELAC, la ASPA, América del Sur, países árabes, la ASA, América del Sur, África, y fue reconfigurando el mundo hacia la liberación de los oprimidos. No todos los días la Asamblea General de las Naciones Unidas se reúne para conmemorar a un presidente y no todos los días las banderas de 193 países se colocan a media asta, ambos sucesos en honor al presidente Chávez, que nunca dejó de ser el arañero de Sabaneta. Hoy nos toca defender el principal legado del presidente Chávez, la revolución bolivariana, acechada por los cuatro costados por las fuerzas imperiales. Ahora o nunca tenemos que defender la revolución bolivariana. Venezuela está en peligro. Y cuando Venezuela está en peligro, la injusticia comienza a recorrer el mundo. ¿A quién beneficia la violencia en Venezuela? Obviamente no beneficia al pueblo venezolano, tampoco al gobierno que solo en paz puede gobernar, ni a los que quieren invertir sin hacer trampas, ni a los jóvenes que están construyendo el futuro. ¿A quién pues le conviene quemar el transporte colectivo, los camiones que transportan alimentos, los mercados donde se distribuyen esos alimentos, asesinar personas, asaltar organizaciones populares, en fin, crear una situación de violencia indiscriminada? Sobre esa base se lanza una campaña mediática internacional contra el gobierno para crear la imagen de que en Venezuela se desarrolla una guerra civil, que hay muertos y heridos en las calles y en consecuencia el mundo debe reaccionar organizando una intervención, comillas, humanitaria, para detener, comillas, al gobierno asesino de Nicolás Maduro. La violencia solo beneficia al poder transnacional que ha perdido el control de la renta petrolera. Trabaja para recapturar el 100% y apropiarse de la faja petrolífera del Orinoco, la mayor reserva mundial de petróleo. Fracasaron con el golpe de Estado en abril de 2002, con el paro petrolero de 2002-2013, y fracasaron tratando de transformar las elecciones del 8 de diciembre en plebiscito para derrocar al presidente Maduro. Es decir, si la sumatoria de los votos regionales y locales obtenidos por los candidatos afiliados a la oposición resultaba mayor que los obtenidos por los afiliados al gobierno, entonces el presidente Maduro debía renunciar, lo que resulta ilegal y no ocurre en país alguno del mundo. En estas elecciones no pudieron utilizar la mentira de siempre, gritar fraude. Les obtuvieron resultados muy favorables en algunas regiones y no podían decir que hubo fraude donde perdieron y no donde ganaron. Quedaron derrotados políticamente. Además, el Consejo Nacional Electoral fue legitimado como árbitro imparcial y quedó legitimado el presidente Maduro y su liderazgo al frente de la convivencia pacífica y el proceso hacia la regulación de la vida política y hacia la paz. La extrema derecha confiaba en la inflación, la desestabilización, la devaluación del bolívar, la inseguridad para imponer el plebiscito y las graves consecuencias desestabilizadoras que hubiese tenido. Las viudas y viudos del plebiscito, en medio del diálogo emprendido por el presidente Maduro, hicieron el llamado a tomar las calles. Fundados en su prepotencia clasista y la impaciencia por recuperar el control de la renta petrolera, decidieron no esperar las elecciones parlamentarias de 2015 o el referéndum revocatorio de 2016, mucho menos hasta 2019. ¿Por qué la impaciencia? La derrota del plebiscito que convocaron con motivo de las elecciones municipales del 8 de diciembre pasado, la imposibilidad de que les queden las acusaciones de fraude, llevó a renunciar a la vía electoral como muestra de impotencia, odio y violencia como venganza clasista. Como en 2002, el problema es el control de la renta petrolera. El presidente Chávez les quitó el control e invirtió alrededor de $600.000 millones en salud, educación, viviendas. Además, diseñó una geopolítica fundada en el uso de la renta petrolera para derrotar el área de libre comercio de las Américas, ALCA, y el renacimiento de las luchas por la independencia nacional y el socialismo. Venezuela sigue siendo el eje de ese proceso y la renta petrolera, su control y administración siguen siendo asuntos fundamentales para la geopolítica de la liberación enfrentada a la geopolítica de la dominación. Esta es la batalla del desarrollo. Es un plan transnacional. Van a profundizar la desestabilización. Con apoyo de la dictadura mediática internacional, desarrollan una guerra de baja intensidad para crear un proceso de ingobernabilidad absoluta y caos generalizado, desabastecimiento, inflación, muertos y heridos en las calles. Se podrían multiplicar los atentados contra los servicios públicos, transporte, servicio telefónico, electricidad, agua, servicios sanitarios, escuelas y hospitales, asesinatos de figuras públicas destacadas, golpes contra unidades de la Fuerza Armada Nacional Bolivariana, asesinato y o secuestro de ministros, líderes políticos, del gobierno o de la oposición, líderes populares, para descabezar el movimiento popular, más desórdenes callejeros, más campañas en los medios de comunicación de Venezuela y el mundo. El propósito es desmoralizar y desmovilizar al pueblo y a la Fuerza Armada Nacional Bolivariana, soportes básicos del proceso bolivariano. No es solo una batalla nacional. El propósito es llevar este tema a los organismos internacionales, a la OEA, a la ONU, a la Corte Penal Internacional. En la OEA van a llamar a la aplicación de la Carta Democrática y en la ONU a la responsabilidad de proteger. La Carta Democrática prevé protección a los gobiernos ante un golpe de Estado y a los gobernados de las alteraciones al orden constitucional que los gobiernos puedan provocar. Precisamente, la oposición, mintiendo y con apoyo mediático, sostiene, refiriéndose a Venezuela, que aun cuando un gobierno se origine de unas elecciones, si estas son fraudulentas o en el ejercicio del gobierno se producen violaciones sistemáticas a los derechos humanos y violencia contra la población, el pueblo, comillas, pueblo, tiene derecho a la legítima rebelión establecida en el artículo 350 de la Constitución de la República Bolivariana de Venezuela. La responsabilidad de proteger es un principio supranacional que viola la soberanía de los estados y que Estados Unidos y sus aliados han venido imponiendo en los hechos en las Naciones Unidas. Fue aplicado en Libia y existe la decisión por parte de las fuerzas imperiales de aplicarlo en cualquier lugar del mundo donde deseen derrocar a un gobierno. En las intervenciones humanitarias, comillas, los servicios de inteligencia de Estados Unidos y su cuerpo diplomático tienen una amplia experiencia. Se trata entonces de desarrollar la transnacional de la solidaridad entre los pueblos para enfrentar la transnacionalidad imperial que impulsa la violencia. Como lo hizo el presidente Maduro, el camino es consolidar la paz e impedir la violencia y la guerra. Este acto es un buen punto de partida.
Our panelists have given us many facts for consideration, and they have conveyed to us very deep humanistic experiences that they had with Hugo Chavez. We all know that he was a singular personality, an energetic man. He could fill a space. He could step in front of an orchestra and sing in a moment, notice. But many of you know that he was a pensive man. He was a man who asked questions. He was a man who would take notes and listen to you. He was a man who would listen to citizens criticize him for something they felt that he had not done appropriately. That is an important part of the legacy that he has left us. I ask you to formulate your questions,
Les ruego que presenten sus preguntas
to formulate your commentaries,
y sus observaciones
and to formulate your critiques.
y sus críticas.
You have 1 minute to present them.
Tienen 1 minuto para contestarse.
We will take 3 to 4 questions,
Vamos a
our comments, our critiques,
3 o 4 preguntas, observaciones.
and then our panelists will respond as they feel appropriate given their knowledge and their experience.
Y los expositores contestarán según sus criterios, experiencia y conocimientos.
Do we have a microphone
¿Tenemos un micrófono flotante o tiene que acudir la gente al micrófono?
So, please raise your hand and I will acknowledge you.
Levanten la mano, por favor.
I think we all know that the United States always tries to disrupt any progressive government. But to do that, they need a fifth column within the country. And I'm wondering,
Los Estados Unidos necesitan siempre una
What
quinta
extent?
columna en los países
to what
desarrollados.
extent or what do we have planned, what plans do you have to really isolate and eventually eliminate that fifth column?
¿Qué planes tiene?
If you don't, you have a constant problem with the U.S. having supporters who are going to try to topple the regime.
¿Qué planes tiene para eliminar esa quinta columna que dirige Estados Unidos? O de lo contrario van a seguir tratando de derrocar al régimen democrático.
Can you bring the microphone over to the podium?
Good evening, my name is Hassan Foy from Mature. I want to first thank the panelists for their presentation.
Agradezco a los expositores.
I'm sorry. My question is directed to the ambassador, Mr. Escalona.
Va para el señor embajador Escalona.
I'm very proud and inspired by what the people of Venezuela have accomplished.
Me siento muy orgulloso y muy inspirado por lo que ha logrado el pueblo de Venezuela.
I am also very proud and inspired by the leadership of Hugo Chavez
Y por el trabajo de dirección de Hugo Chávez
and President Maduro.
y por el trabajo de dirección del presidente Maduro.
But at this critical point, for those of us in solidarity with Venezuela,
Pero en este momento crítico, para quienes apoyamos a Venezuela con solidaridad,
at this very serious time, what would you like us to do to combat or to do away with U.S. interference in your country's affairs? And thank you very much.
en estos momentos tan serios y difíciles, ¿qué desean que hagamos nosotros para evitar que Estados Unidos siga interviniendo de esa manera en su país?
Yes, sir.
Mine, not as much of a question, but a response. And that is, as a person who was born in this country, I strongly believe that people who are from this country have a responsibility in making our government represent a just government, which it isn't.
Creo que como persona que ha nacido en este país, pienso que aquí tenemos la responsabilidad, y el gobierno también la tiene, de tener una actitud responsable para con estos procesos.
And I strongly believe the two questions that were asked before me is a question we should be asking the people of this country.
Y creo que las preguntas que oímos hasta ahora, las dos preguntas, son preguntas que tienen que hacerse al pueblo estadounidense.
Because I believe it's our responsibility to make this government stop interfering in the internal affairs of Venezuela.
Porque creo que nos toca a nosotros, a los estadounidenses, hacer lo imposible para evitar de que nuestro gobierno siga interfiriendo con sus países.
I think too often we look for someone else to do our job. And it's high time that we do our job and make this country do what it's supposed to do.
Históricamente estamos acostumbrados a que el otro haga nuestro trabajo. Ha llegado la hora de que nos pongamos manos a la obra y tratemos de evitar que este gobierno interfiera de esa manera.
Thank you, panelists, your responses.
Respuestas.
Vamos a tener acá more rounds.
I hope I can address I guess I'll address the question about the elimination of the fifth column, as it was called.
Acerca de la eliminación de esta quinta columna de los Estados Unidos en otros países.
And at least the way I perceive it is that, well, from what I can tell, the Venezuelan government really has no intention of eliminating it.
Bueno, según veo, el gobierno venezolano no tiene intenciones de eliminar esa quinta columna.
In my view, the Venezuelan government has been very benevolent in how it's handled the opposition.
A mi parecer, el gobierno venezolano ha tenido una actitud muy benevolente en el manejo de esta situación.
And if we go back to 2002, for example, a lot of the people involved in that coup are leaders of the opposition now.
Y si nos remontamos al golpe del 2002, muchos de los cabecillas de aquel golpe son dirigentes ahora de la oposición.
Could you imagine in this country, just for a moment, if you successfully kidnapped the President of the United States?
Imagínense que en este país alguien lograse secuestrar al presidente de los Estados Unidos.
You'd be vaporized.
Lo hacen humo, lo vaporizan
That's all.
al secuestrador.
And yet those people are walking the streets and now causing these disruptions.
Secuestradores están caminando
And so when I watch the news,
por las calles de Venezuela.
it hurts me.
Por eso cuando veo las noticias realmente me
Because this
duele,
country, the government there is portrayed as repressive.
porque se manifiesta que el gobierno de Venezuela es represivo.
And yet I can honestly say this is the most benevolent revolution in world history.
Y yo debo decir que es la revolución más benevolente en la historia de la humanidad.
The guillotines have never been brought out.
Nadie ha sacado las guillotinas.
In fact, I don't think Venezuela has any.
Venezuela no tiene ninguna guillotina.
But I mean, and that's what we need to take with us, and that is why this is a country that deserves our help, because they have no plans on eliminating anyone.
Porque eso es lo que tenemos que tener presente en Venezuela. Me parece que no hay ningún plan para tratar de eliminar esa quinta columna que se les ha metido.
And that's the strength of the revolution.
Y creo que ese es un fuerte de la revolución
But of course, yes, it is a weakness too.
y también un punto débil.
But they have the courage to show that weakness,
Pero tienen la valentía de mostrar ese punto débil.
and we must applaud them.
Y eso debemos de aplaudirlo.
I just have a quick response to the topic of the responsibility of people in the United States on this. I think
Sobre la respuesta referente a la responsabilidad del pueblo estadounidense en este asunto.
I think it's really important. And I think there are a lot of people working against intervention. I think we won a victory this year, for example,
Por ejemplo, hay mucha gente que está trabajando en eso
that I
en este
haven't
país.
seen in my life, which was we stopped the U.S. government from bombing Syria.
Y logramos una victoria aquí. Evitamos que Estados Unidos bombardee Libia.
And if we hadn't done that, there probably wouldn't be any.
Perdón.
Siria.
Siria, perdón.
And if we hadn't done that, there probably wouldn't be any negotiations with Iran right now either.
Y si no
We'd
hubiese
be
sido
headed
así,
towards another war.
no tendríamos ni siquiera negociaciones con el Irán ahora. Quizás eso nos estuviese conduciendo a otra guerra.
All I will say is that, I think not as many people obviously are working on Latin America, but that's partly because, the U.S. Started a war that killed 1 million people in Iraq.
Bueno, no hay mucha gente dedicada ahora a la América Latina en el movimiento, pero eso es porque Estados Unidos mató casi prácticamente a 1 millón de personas con su invasión al Irak.
And we're headed towards, we were and still might be headed towards another devastating war with Iran.
Y quizás estamos dirigiéndonos a otra guerra con el Irán.
Most people who are anti-war and anti-imperialist here are focusing on that part of the world, but
Y la gente aquí se está concentrando, o sea, los que son antiguerras se están concentrando en esa parte del mundo ahora, hoy.
But in the 1980s they were very focused, for example, on Central America.
Pero por ejemplo en los años 80 el movimiento norteamericano
And
se concentró mucho en
probably
Centroamérica.
remember, and although we weren't able to stop the intervention,
No logramos evitar la intervención
we
norteamericana en
did get
Centroamérica,
the Congress to cut off aid
pero
to Contras,
por lo menos se cortó la ayuda a los contras nicaragüenses
and the president had to, do it illegally,
y el presidente tuvo que seguir esa ayuda ilegalmente.
and resulted in a major scandal that should have gotten impeached.
Y estalló un tremendo escándalo por eso.
So that was
Debería
the
haber sido
result of
juzgado políticamente.
very, very large mass movements that very few people have written about, but they were quite significant.
O sea, fueron movimientos de masas en Estados Unidos muy significativos y lograron mucho en
So
Centroamérica.
they're still here.
Y todavía siguen existiendo. Gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much.
hay varios.
When in Venezuela we don't have only one fifth color, we have several fifth colors.
Hay una, y como bien lo dijo Daniel,
There is one, as Daniel said very well,
no puede ser destruida porque
cannot be destroyed
Venezuela de verdad es un país democrático.
because Venezuela is truly a democratic country.
Entonces, el plan del presidente Maduro es regularizar la vida política del país.
So the plan of President Maduro is to normalize the political life of the
¿Qué
country.
significa regularizarla?
What do I mean by
Que la
normalize?
oposición se integre como cualquier otro país
That means that
a participar de acuerdo con la ley en las actividades públicas.
that the opposition come in and work with the establishment in Venezuela to deal with public policies like in other countries.
Entonces, el gobierno tiene que demostrar que ese camino siempre está abierto.
But the government must show that that road is always open.
En tanto que un sector, la oposición, la extrema derecha, se empeña en demostrar que no se debe tomar ese camino.
In the meantime, the extreme right opposition is trying to show that that is not the way to go.
Entonces, el gobierno tiene que hacer un doble trabajo,
So we, the government of Venezuela, has to do a double job,
que parece paradójico.
which is like paradox.
Por una parte, abrir cada vez más ese espacio político de participación para todos, independientemente de lo que piensen.
First, to open up that space of political participation from the part of everybody, no matter the opinion they might have.
Y golpear a los que se aprovechan de que ese camino se abre para desestabilizar al gobierno.
And also to respond seriously to the ones who want to will take advantage of the opening of that road to attack the government.
Precisamente para lograr que se cierre y decir, fíjense, ahí está la dictadura.
Because the idea is for them to accomplish the closing of that open road and to say, see, that is a dictatorship.
Y en eso cuentan con la colaboración de toda la dictadura mediática internacional.
And for that, they have the cooperation of the whole international media oligarchy.
En Caracas, por ejemplo, no hay desórdenes públicos en los barrios pobres.
In Caracas, there are no civil disturbances in the poor neighborhoods.
Ustedes pueden revisar las noticias.
Look at the news.
Y el que conozca Caracas sabe
And anybody who knows Caracas can tell
que la Plaza Altamira es una zona de la clase alta.
that Plaza Altamira is a high-class plaza.
Y son poquitos lugares que reseña CNN y las demás
And
televisiones.
all of these places that are described by CNN and the other chains, networks.
Entonces, el gobierno tiene que castigar eso,
So the government must take measures against that
pero
attitude.
tiene que castigarlo con mano de seda.
But that must be done with a silk glove.
¿Me explico?
Am I clear? Sí, muy claro.
Entonces,
So then,
¿cómo podemos ayudar?
so how can you help?
Bueno, hay una gran batalla en las llamadas redes sociales.
Now there's a big trouble in the so-called social
Un
networks.
pequeño paréntesis. Yo no creo que Twitter, Facebook son redes sociales. Pero bueno, así se llama.
I don't think Facebook, for instance, is a social network, internet network, but that's the name they have received.
Una red social son...
Something social is like, for instance, us here.
Pero nosotros, uno de los éxitos de la dominación impone el lenguaje.
Well, one of the successes of domination is to impose a vocabulary, a language.
Y entonces todos hablamos de redes sociales.
So we now we talk about social networks, everybody.
Y entonces, ¿dónde está esa sociedad?
Where is that society?
Bueno, pero utilizando esa expresión, hay una batalla que está en esas llamadas redes sociales.
So there is a struggle, a battle among those social so-called networks.
Porque una foto que toman allá en la Plaza Altamira,
One photograph taken
donde supuestamente está un guardia nacional apaleando a alguien y no es verdad.
In Plaza Altamira, when they show a soldier
Pero
beating somebody, which is not true,
esa foto al día siguiente está en el mundo entero.
and that photograph the next day is all over the world now.
La dictadura del presidente Maduro.
That is the dictatorship of President Maduro.
Ok. Diariamente,
Daily,
el presidente Maduro está interviniendo en la televisión venezolana.
daily, President Maduro is appearing on national television in Venezuela.
Todos ustedes pueden captar esas intervenciones por internet.
You can get all that through the internet.
Bueno, como obviamente las televisoras de aquí publican distorsionadamente toda esa información,
As the TV networks in the United States broadcast all those distortions,
entonces nosotros podemos usar también internet para difundir la información que el propio presidente está dando diariamente.
so let us use the networks, let us use the internet to propagate what President Maduro is saying daily.
Pero no solo la del presidente Maduro, porque dirán, bueno, claro, eso es lo que dice el presidente.
Not only President Maduro, because many people will say, well, that's President Maduro's opinion.
Es que también en esas llamadas redes sociales hay gente del pueblo de Venezuela
In those social networks, there are
que
people from
está difundiendo información veraz.
there are people in Venezuela broadcasting the right truth, the truth.
Entonces, como la batalla principal realmente es esa, porque en Venezuela la oposición no está movilizando masas.
So that is the main field of the war engagement, because there's no a mass movement being organized
Por ejemplo, ahora hay enfrente de un grupo protestante.
to Spain. There was here outside a group of demonstrators.
¿Cuántos eran?
How many were there?
4, 5, digamos 20.
Let's say 20, okay.
No había 20. Pero pongan CNN, el Canal 41,
Go
etcétera.
and watch your local TV channels,
Entonces,
Hispanic TV channels.
la televisión hace el milagro
There's a miracle.
de que 20, 8, 3 parezcan 100, cientos.
Then it's the multiplication of the fish. You have hundreds of demonstrators now.
Pero si nosotros tomamos la foto acá y nosotros la difundimos,
If we take the photograph and if we propagate it,
porque ustedes saben, mejor que yo, que aquí en Estados Unidos hay una campaña para censurar Internet.
because you know that here in the United States there is a campaign to censure internet.
Por eso, porque ellos quieren censurar también Internet, porque ya censuraron los grandes medios, porque son de ellos.
They want to affect also the internet now because the big media belong to the establishment here in the US
Pero
already.
ellos crearon Internet con el objetivo de monopolizar la información, pero no ha sido posible.
Now, the objective of creating internet was to control the information, but they haven't been able to do it.
Entonces, la guerra cibernética es un aspecto fundamental de la guerra contemporánea.
So the cyber war is a fundamental front today.
En la información de Venezuela está cuántos ataques cibernéticos han tenido servicios públicos esenciales en Venezuela durante toda esta vida.
We have the statistics of the internet hacking against the Venezuelan government, different agencies of the government up to date.
Pero no pueden silenciar millones en el mundo
But they cannot silence millions of people in the world
que utilizan Internet.
who use the internet.
Entonces, bueno, vamos a hacer nuestra propia, no le llamemos guerra, nuestra propia lucha por la verdad
So
y
let
la
us,
paz.
let us engage in our own, let us not call it a war, but let us call it a struggle for peace, our own.
Bueno, esa es una de las grandes maneras como se puede.
That will be one way to do something here in the United States.
Bueno, esperemos otra.
We will take our second round.
Segundo
Gentleman
round.
from, representative from Bolivia, here on the front row. Excuse me, microphone here.
Señor representante encargado de negocios de la República Plurinacional de Bolivia.
Yo tuve el honor de compartir con Chávez
Chávez.
en su variada visita.
He went several times to
Y
Bolivia.
siento como si Chávez esté aquí.
And I feel that Chavez is here amongst us
Quiero,
now.
quiero empezar diciendo esto y voy a terminar.
And I will begin saying this and I will end saying this.
Chávez aparece. Chávez explota. Chávez irrumpe
Chavez
en la década del 90.
appears, explodes, and is very much present in the 90s.
Cuando el neoliberalismo estaba en su máximo potencial.
At the maximum level of
Cuando
neoliberalism.
todos nuestros países eran obedientes siguiendo esa línea geopolítica del neoliberalismo que fue transformado en imperio.
When like almost all of our countries were following that line imposed by the financial institutions, the line of neoliberalism,
Creando masas cada vez con mayores deudas sociales,
augmenting the debt, especially the social charges, the debt,
creando mayores diferencias entre los más pobres y los más ricos.
creating wider differences
Y aquí
between the
es
rich and
donde
the
aparece
poor.
Hugo Chávez.
And then all of a sudden we see Chavez.
Se revela, entra con su revolución
He comes with his revolution. He rebels.
y Chávez es escuchado por el pueblo venezolano.
And the Venezuelan people listen
Y
to
desde
Chavez.
Venezuela enciende la luz, enciende la tea, enciende el faro que ilumina el resto de Latinoamérica.
And from Venezuela, he lights the light that lights the whole of Latin
Muchos
America.
de otros países toman y agarran esa luz y comienzan a marchar en esa dirección.
And many of our countries
Y esa
follow
revolución
that light.
de Chávez, de esa revolución contra ese neoliberalismo ampliador, es el neoliberalismo contra la gente maltratada, excluida,
And that
comienza a dar sus frutos en Venezuela y en muchos países.
revolution
Muchos
against,
otros países de Latinoamérica.
against the neoliberalism, the creator of hunger and differences, begins to flourish, begins to bloom in Latin America
Y esa
after Chavez.